here. All right, we're live. Hello and welcome today to another empowering conversation. Today, I am talking with Carol. And when I heard Carol talk about what she does and how she helps people, I immediately fell in love. And I was like, I have to work with this woman. And so I am just so excited that she's going to be here today and share with us her very unique way of supporting people. And so, Carol, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, and we've got some serious time zone difference because you're in the
The
UK.
UK. I'm in London, yeah.
Yes, okay. All
Yeah.
right.
So yeah, we've had this before, haven't we, with training and stuff. So much fun.
Yes. It's morning
Being a
for me, it's night for you.
yeah. Oh, it's all good. It's all good.
Oh, good. All right. Well, I would love to kind of get us started here a little bit and asking you a question about a little personal about your story. Like, have you ever found yourself in a situation where you were playing small, maybe tamping yourself down, or not fully playing as big as you could in the game of life?
I would say never. Never. That's never happened. I've always gone full out, always done everything I can to the best of my ability and to full capacity. So thanks for having me. It's been really nice talking to you.
Ah, you
Seriously
know,
though.
I love that we can tease like that because of course like this does show up in everybody's life, right? But how, and maybe give us an example of one of those times for you that you really had to dig deep, or you had to find some personal empowerment to find your voice, find your power. Like, what was that like, and what tools, strategies, or resources did you lean on to really stand in your power?
Well, I would say that, I sort of grew up not really talking a lot, not really giving my opinion a lot, not really being encouraged to give my opinion a lot of the time.
Mhm.
And, now that I'm actually a singer and a voice coach, but my mom said she was really surprised when that happened because I never even used to sing around the house. So somewhere along the line, I just decided that I was gonna let my voice out. And I remember once I wanted to start a band. My partner writes songs, and he had these songs there, and I just thought, "Oh, these are really good songs, and they should be out there. They should be out in the world." And I think it was just because I just felt so strongly about the songs that I thought that they deserved to be out in the light, that I kind of got over my fear of contacting other people. I didn't even think about what it would be like to be singing the songs in public or anything like that. I just was just had that in my mind that I wanted these songs to be out there. And so I just started contacting people online. And when I walked into the first rehearsal, I had no clue what I was doing. I'd never led a band before, and luckily everybody there was quite experienced session musicians and stuff. So they basically started the rehearsal, and then I kind of got into it. But I think it was really, Tony Robbins has said, if your why is strong enough, you can get through anyhow. I'm
Mhm.
paraphrasing. I'm sure I've quoted that wrong, but basically, yeah. I think at that point in time, and other times in my life when I've stepped over the boundary, it's because the why was actually strong enough for me to just not really be worried about the fear part of it. I just kind
Mhm.
of decided I was just gonna go and do what I thought was important.
Yeah, I love that. And this is a theme that I've heard from a couple of our other speakers. Like, your passion was strong enough, your mission was big enough. Like, there was a calling for you that just pulled you forward
Mhm.
through all the how and all the fear, or, you know, things that we might have said to ourselves that would stop us, right? Like, when that why is big enough, it just pulls you forward. I love that. And I also think it's so surprising. So now, did you take singing lessons or anything like that? I mean, because your mom was surprised that you're a voice coach. She's like, where did that come from?
I know. Well, I have my partner to thank for that because, again, with his songs, he had wanted to do some recordings, and he asked me if I would sing the songs. So he obviously heard something in my voice which I hadn't heard, and I really wasn't sure about it. And I decided to take singing lessons at that point. So something in me just thought, well, I'd like to give it a try, but I feel like I need some help from a professional before I dive into it. So I started taking singing lessons, and then went on to teaching from there.
That is so beautiful. I love that. I love that spirit of like, why not? Let's try.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. And I don't know who it was said this, but I think a lot of people have quoted it saying that you can take action from a position of fear or from a position of love. And I think that all of us, even people who we look at and think they're really confident,
Hmm.
all of us have to make that decision every time we want to take an action, because I think most of us feel fear when we're going to take an action, especially if it's something we've never done before.
Hmm.
And so I think if the love is strong enough and the why is strong enough, then you can kind of just move through. Even if you're afraid, you can still just move through and do it.
Yeah, I love that. I love how you married the why with love being the driving force, right? Like in action, it can be fear-based or it could be love-based. And I think that's so powerful, especially like now in our world. And it's always been important. It just feels especially significant now that people really move forward in their life by making choices out of love. And I love how you paired the two, the love and the why is what really gets you to take that action.
Hmm. Hmm.
So beautiful. And so I would love to know now, like a little bit of like, how are you helping other people? You're a voice coach, right? What does that
Yeah.
look like? How does that help people? I mean, I can imagine, but I know that you've seen it firsthand and the transformation it can create for someone. So can you share that with us?
Yeah, it's been pretty transformational for me as well. And I think a lot of teachers learn from their students. I think the best teachers actually are open to learning from their students. And one thing I learned from my students was that it's not just about having good vocal technique, and that it's not just about what the vocal cords are doing and making sure they're in the right position, which is what that was my main concern when I first started teaching. That I wanted to help people sing better and
Mm-hmm.
just to sound better. However, as I went along, I could see the kind of ripple effect it had in the rest of the student's life. And certain situations that really, I was really taken aback by the how strong the emotions could be. And I mean, I had one particular guy. This is years ago now, in my early days of teaching, but it's still quite a strong memory for me. In that he had told me that people used to tell him to shut up when he was younger, like when he was singing or speaking, and he was just actually really afraid to sing, but just something propelled him to come to the class and just try and see if he could do it. And his voice wasn't bad, you know what I mean? When he started, I wasn't sure what to expect when he told me that, and I was like, okay, let me just brace myself for whatever comes out. And his voice was fine, there was nothing wrong with his voice at all. So he managed to get through a song, and he actually burst into tears after he finished the song,
Mm.
because he'd never actually been brave enough to sing a song before, and he'd never had somebody just listen and appreciate the fact that he was expressing himself through song. And I think that was the first time that I kind of realized just how emotional it can be for people to
Mhm.
do something that I find it relatively easy to sing a song, but there are people who just, it's just like a major emotional breakthrough for them to be able to sing something.
Yeah.
Um, and another student of mine, she actually said to me that doing singing lessons with me helped her to regain her confidence after she came out of a long marriage. And so she didn't want to be a professional singer. She just took singing lessons to try and help with her general confidence. And she said that people she knew commented on how much more confident she looked and more assertive and speaking out more as well, just because she was, well, I say just because, but to her it was a huge deal that the singing lessons had helped her to express herself more in her life in general.
Mm-hmm. I mean, again, how powerful. There are so many reasons it's important for people to find their voice. Like you
Yeah.
said, to speak up and advocate for themselves, even just like in business meetings or in family dynamics or,
Hmm.
you know, all of these things. And for someone to be able to tap into that confidence
Yeah.
through voice lessons is really powerful.
Hmm.
And it, I'm glad you caught yourself and you corrected yourself with the just voice lessons, right? Because it's so much more. It's like tapping into their heart and their soul and creativity and fully being expressed, and it's such a beautiful thing. And there is something really magical about music,
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
It's so
definitely.
healing, and to be able to put that out into the world, oh my gosh, I could imagine your students are just, like, on cloud 9 by the time they're done.
Yes, yes. I mean, I've had people say, afterwards, like after their first lesson, they were humming, going to themselves, going down the street back to the station when they were returning home. And yeah, I mean, there have been studies done talking about how it releases all these happy hormones in the body, and how choirs as well, just that feeling of community with other
Mm,
singers
mhm,
can help you to feel so much better. And yeah, it's not about having a wonderful voice. In fact, some of my favorite singers are not technically brilliant, but I think it is about just having that ability to just say what you want to say.
mhm,
And this is definitely a mission that I'm on now with older women. Funnily enough, um, I along the way I've come across women who have felt that they just couldn't express themselves for one reason or another, and I
mm,
never really thought about it in terms of, because I'm a female, that I didn't really feel able to open my mouth a lot of the time. But as I've got older, I've realized that a lot of women just feel less able to
mm,
to talk, to sing, to express themselves, to take up space than men.
mhm,
And so I think we can learn a lot from men in that sense. In that, I don't want to cast a whole blanket over men, but I've met a lot more men who are willing to like step forward and step up to their plate, even if they're not totally sure that they
mhm.
are 100% qualified. They will do it,
Yeah,
because they just want to do it, and they will just do it and see what happens. Whereas a lot of the women I've come across are a lot more, circumspect, a lot more analyzing before they
mhm,
step out and do something. And so, yeah, I really, I love teaching everyone, but I found like over the years, my favorite students have been women, older women who have felt for whatever reason that they just don't really have much of a voice, that people don't really want to hear what they have to say. And so I
mhm.
say that what you have to say is valuable, just like anybody else.
Yeah,
It's, people want to hear your stories. There are people out there who want to hear what you have to say.
mhm. I love that, and it's so much about, like, I hear a lot of, like, helping them find confidence and significance, right? Like, they're really struggling with that "I don't matter," like,
Hmm.
"Why should I?" Like, "Nobody wants to hear me," and really helping them find power in themselves
Hmm.
to step out and try and
Hmm.
be bold. I
Yeah.
think that is beautiful because we need we need that for everyone, because I'm sure they're mothers or grandmothers, and the way that they can convey that kind of confidence to their children or younger generations is
Yes.
really beautiful.
Yes. It's very important for women to realize that they do have something really valuable and
Yeah.
really, yeah, important to say in the world.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, actually, you're talking about mothers and grandmothers. I had a student who she used to sing a lot in her 20s, and she was out with other women singing. And she took a long break to raise her family. And when she decided that she wanted to try and sing again in her 50s,
Hmm.
she realized her voice had changed completely.
Yeah.
And so that was another aspect that she had to deal with. And I've met a lot of women as well whose voices have been changing over the years,
Hmm.
hormones, etc. And it's sometimes wanting to get back the voice that they had in their 20s.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's not always possible. I do know women in their 60s and 70s who can sing and they sound like they're a lot younger, but a lot of women also have to kind of accept that their voice is not the same as it was before. And so this student that I was talking about, she's actually now doing like one woman shows, and she's like changed her repertoire. She's not doing those sort of girly songs that she used to do when she was in her 20s, but she's accepted that she's now older and she's
Hmm.
got different stories to tell. And so she's doing like jazz and blues and stuff, and she sounds authentic because
Yeah.
of the years of experience. And she can tell these stories truthfully. And
Yeah.
yeah, she's made it into her own one woman show. So what you were saying about using your creativity
Yeah.
and just using what you have, using what's inside of you, and not
Hmm.
dampening it down.
Yeah. And it's so beautiful too. Like, I love how you talked about just accepting where you are now
Hmm.
on the journey, not comparing yourself to when you were young, not comparing yourself to somebody else, but just accepting who you are and where you are right now. I
Hmm.
think that's so beautiful. And again, that in and of itself is a really powerful lesson. Um, and so before we wrap up and everything, I would love if, I don't know if there are any tips or maybe little homework practice things that someone might want to try, see, just to kind of like maybe start to tap into their own uniqueness, or if they're afraid to actually sing out loud, you know what might be something they could practice or try.
Well, breathing is something that singers often come to me about, and saying that they feel that they need to work on their breathing, and it's all a bit intense. And the thing is, we're breathing all the time, and if you're not breathing, then there's something wrong. So but obviously that's something that should come naturally. But because of the whole, I guess, the way life can treat you sometimes and the way we react to life, we get like a sort of a fight or flight response, as they call it, where you're breathing like high up in your chest, and you are, everything is coming from up here when you try to, express yourself, or put any volume on it. You're just pushing from your throat.
Mhm.
So I would say one of the first things to do is just to make sure that you're breathing from lower down.
Yeah.
A lot of people call it diaphragmatic breathing. And basically, when you breathe in, you want your stomach and your rib cage to expand outwards. And then
Mhm.
when you
Mhm.
breathe in again, everything just goes back into resting. And that's a good thing to practice all the time. Um, because then when you go to sing, you're not just suddenly thinking, oh, I need to work on my breathing before I sing. So
Uh-huh.
getting into that regular practice of breathing well, I think,
Mhm.
because it sends a message to your brain that you're calm and you're in control, you know then that would just help you when if you want to sing. And also, too, a lot of students have sort of come to me, like, especially if they're working during the day, they've got a job, and they feel like they don't have enough time to actually sing.
Yeah.
So I would say, well, don't worry about putting aside time to sing. If you're just washing the dishes, or driving, or anything, as long as it's safe while you're driving, you can just sing. If you feel like singing, just sing, and don't feel like you have to build up to it. It's just like, if you feel like singing, just open your mouth and sing, and see. It doesn't have to be, as I said. Some of my favorite singers are not the most technically brilliant, and I think that, I mean, someone like Bob Dylan comes to my mind, who basically
Mhm.
talks through his songs.
Yeah.
And and there was a guy named KRS-One, who he's a rapper who did one of Elton John's songs, which Elton John sang really well, but this rapper sang it, and he can't sing, and he would acknowledge that he can't sing, but it's just like people acknowledge the fact that he was just being himself. He
Mm,
liked the song. He decided he just wanted to sing the song. He wanted to pay tribute to Elton John by singing the song, and he just did it on stage, and people appreciated it.
mhm.
That he was just expressing himself, and he was being authentic. He was being himself.
Yeah.
So I think it's just to be yourself and be authentic. And if you love music and you want to sing, just go for it.
I love that. Keeping it super simple. So just breathe,
Yeah,
breathe
breathe.
deep, right? And just sing when you want to sing. I sing sometimes to my son in the morning to wake him up, and it's like a nonsensical something, but I'm just like in a happy go lucky kind of whatever.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
whatever comes out, comes out. So just breathe, just sing, and just be you.
yeah,
I
yeah.
love
I
it.
mean, with singing, I did have someone come to me once because she wanted to sing lullabies to her children. She came to singing lessons because she felt like her voice wasn't good enough to sing lullabies. And I was like, well, she did actually have a nice voice anyway. But I said, well, I don't think your children will be like, that wasn't quite in tune, or,
They're not
as
going to
long as you're
imitate
singing
you.
from your heart, then that's all that will matter to them.
Yeah, from your heart. That's so good. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Carol, for being here and sharing with us today.
Thank
And
you.
if you are interested and want to connect with Carol, she does individual consultations, and there will be a link to connect with her. You can send her an email, set up something, and she'll work out all the details with you and support you as best she can. And I'm just so excited. I'm gonna probably do a little singing, maybe. My throat is really raw, so I might wait another day. But
Yeah, if you've got a sore throat, not a good idea. But otherwise, yeah.
all right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll be back with some more empowering conversations another day. All right,
Thank
take
you.
care, everyone. Thank
Bye.
you.